My cousin accused me of abusing her because I didn't take her to a party, and now that they know the truth, they think I should forgive her because she's just a kid. But I prefer that everyone gets what they deserve. I'm not a great writer or communicator, so please be patient with me. Honestly, I'm still so angry about all this that it's hard for me to put my thoughts into words. If this sounds messy or scattered, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to vent and not win a writing contest. A few weeks ago, my life was turned upside down by a lie. I've replayed that night over and over since then, because if it hadn't happened, my life would be very different now. But there's nothing I could have done, so here I am, stuck in this dilemma because of my cousin, and it still infuriates me to think about it. It all started when my uncle and aunt asked my sister, Emma, and me to take care of my cousin Lana, who is 16. Now, taking care seems like a strange word for a teenager, but they didn't trust leaving her home alone while they went to an event out of town. I wasn't very enthusiastic about it, but Emma agreed. So what could I do? Say no and look like an idiot? Lana arrived in a total tantrum mode. She was furious because her parents didn't let her go to a party that her friends were throwing. She barely spoke to me when she got there. She just threw her things on the floor and glued herself to her phone. I was already fed up, but I thought as long as she didn't cause any problems, it would be a quiet night. Well, you can guess that's not what was going to happen. All night, Lana acted like the world revolved around her. She wouldn't stop complaining to Emma about how strict her parents were and how they didn't trust her, even though she was practically an adult. Emma tried to calm her down by offering to order pizza or watch a movie, but nothing improved Lana's mood. I kept my distance. I didn't want to get caught up in teenage drama. I stayed in my room working on a university project while Emma tried and failed to keep Lana entertained. But Lana was not only in a bad mood, she was plotting something at that moment I didn't know, but all her complaints about missing the party weren't just venting. She had a plan. Around 1:30 a.m., I woke up to the sound of my bedroom door creaking open. At first, I thought it was Emma needing something, but it was Lana standing in the doorway, arms crossed and looking angry, as if I had ruined her night. "What's wrong?" I asked, still half asleep. She didn't waste any time. She went straight to the point and said she wanted me to take her to her friend's house, apparently. Her friends were still partying, and she didn't want to miss out. It was the middle of the night. Who the hell asks for a ride to a party at 1:30 a.m.? I said no, straightforward and without negotiation. I wasn't going to get out of bed to take her anywhere, especially to a party her parents specifically told her not to go to. She was my responsibility, and I wasn't about to screw that up. But Lana wouldn't take no for an answer. She started saying how unfair it was, and how everyone treated her like a little kid. I could tell she was trying to make me feel guilty, but I wouldn't budge. I just kept telling her to go back to bed. After a few minutes, she got mad, started calling me an idiot, and said I was ruining her life. Well, you know how teenagers talk. I know very well, because I used to be one. I was exhausted, irritated, and just fed up with the conversation. So I said, "Not my problem," turned over, and closed my eyes. Finally, she stormed out of my room, stomping her feet. At that moment, I thought that was it. I assumed she would cry herself to sleep or text her friends complaining about how unfair life was. I had no idea she was about to ruin my life. I slept well after that. I didn't even think twice about our argument. It wasn't the first time Lana had acted like a spoiled brat, but when I woke up the next morning, everything was different. The first thing I noticed was my phone blowing up with notifications. Missed calls, text messages, and voice messages from my parents, Emma, and even my uncle. All the messages were vague, but the tone was angry. I thought something had happened to Lana. Maybe she ran away or got caught trying to do so. But then I realized Emma and Lana weren't home. The house was strangely quiet. I didn't have time to process much because around 11 a.m. I heard banging on the front door. It was my parents, and they were furious. When I opened the door, I immediately sensed something was very wrong. My mom looked furious, red-eyed as if she had been crying, and my dad had that cold, disappointed look. I barely had a chance to say anything before they started attacking me, not even giving me context at first. It was just question after question at lightning speed. My mom wouldn't stop asking, "How could you do this?" And, What were you thinking? While my dad just stood there shaking his head. I felt like I had walked into a nightmare because I had no idea what they were talking about. Finally, I managed to get a word in and asked, "What the hell is going on?" That's when my mom dropped the bomb. Lana had told her parents that I had done something inappropriate with her while she was in our house. It was such a ridiculous thing for them to say that it felt unreal. I kept asking, "What did she say I did?" And my mom just kept repeating, "She's 16. Do you know how serious this is?" My dad told me to stop playing dumb and that they deserved an explanation. I tried to tell them my side of the story. I explained that the only interaction I had with Lana that night was when she barged into my room at 1:30 a.m. and demanded I take her to a party. I told them I refused, went back to sleep, and that was it. But they weren't listening. My mom was convinced I was lying, and my dad said they needed to verify things. They started searching my room, rummaging through drawers and checking my stuff like detectives looking for evidence. My mom even took my laptop and phone, saying they needed to review everything. I just stood there in shock, unable to believe what was happening. My own parents, the people who had known me my whole life, thought I was capable of doing something so disgusting. Of course, they found nothing because there was nothing to find, but even then, it didn't seem to change the way they looked at me. After a while, Emma came back home. I hoped she would back me up, but as soon as she walked in, she looked as shaken up as our parents. She told me she had taken Lana to her house early that morning. Apparently, Lana had gone to Emma's room in the middle of the night crying, saying she wanted to go home. Emma asked her what was wrong, but Lana wouldn't explain. She just kept saying she needed to leave. So Emma took her home and stayed with her. Everything seemed fine until Emma got a call from our uncle later that morning. That's when she found out Lana had accused me of that. Emma looked torn, as if she wanted to believe me but didn't know what to think. She told me she didn't understand why Lana would make something like that up. I could see on her face that even she had doubts about me. That hurt more than anything. By this point, I was already exhausted from trying to explain my side. I felt like I was talking to a wall. My parents didn't want to hear me out. They had already decided I was guilty. My mom kept saying things like, "Why would she lie about something so serious?" while my dad just stood there judging me. Maybe if I told them what really happened, they would listen to me. For some reason, they wanted us to look after her. They knew she could try something like wanting to go to a party with her friends. So if I told them my story, it would probably make sense to them. When I called my aunt, she answered first, furious, calling me all sorts of names and demanding to know how I could do something so disgusting to her daughter. I tried to say something, but she wouldn't listen. Finally, my uncle took the phone, and I explained everything. The way Lana had demanded I take her to a party, how I refused, and how that was literally the only conversation we had that night. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then my uncle said, "I'll call you back." I had no idea what that meant, but I waited with a churning stomach as my parents continued to look at me like I was a criminal. I knew I was innocent, but at that moment, I felt like the whole world was against me. About an hour passed before my uncle called me back. That hour felt like an eternity, and I could barely breathe when the phone rang. When I answered, my uncle sounded different. He wasn't angry anymore. He sounded, I don't know, calmer, maybe even embarrassed. He started apologizing, said he shouldn't have jumped to conclusions and that he was just very upset by what Lana told them. Apparently, when Lana got home, she was crying and told my aunt and uncle that I touched her while she was at my house. Naturally, they believed her. She was their daughter. But after hearing my side of the story, my uncle decided to investigate a bit more. He called some of Lana's friends and confirmed that there indeed was a party the night before. Her friends admitted that Lana had been texting them all night, even saying she would find a way to sneak out. When my uncle confronted Lana with this information, she broke down and confessed the truth. She lied. She made everything up because she was mad that I wouldn't take her to the party. I felt a strange mix of emotions hearing this. Relief, obviously, but also a wave of anger that I wasn't prepared for. My uncle was apologizing, but he was also trying to downplay it, saying things like, "She's young and she wasn't thinking about the consequences." He even had the nerve to ask me not to take it personally. His daughter had just accused me of one of the worst things imaginable, and I was supposed to let it go, like it was no big deal. After the call, I told my parents what my uncle said, hoping it would clear the air. And sure, they stopped looking at me like I was the devil, But their response wasn't what I expected. My dad just said something about how things got out of hand, as if it were just a minor misunderstanding. My mom seemed relieved, but instead of apologizing, she started making excuses. We had to take it seriously, she said. What if it had been true? Emma didn't say much. She just sat there looking uncomfortable, as if she didn't know how to act now that the truth was known. What really infuriated me, though, was that no one seemed angry with Lana. My parents didn't say a word about how serious her lie was, or how it could have ruined my life. They just seemed happy that it wasn't true and acted as if we all should move on. Later that day, my uncle called me again, apologized a second time, but it felt insincere. He said Lana was sorry and didn't realize how serious her lie was. He asked me to let it go because she was young and made a mistake. A mistake? A mistake is spilling juice on the carpet, not accusing someone of a crime that could ruin their reputation, relationships, and future. What made it worse was that Lana didn't face any real consequences. My uncle said they had a talk with her about how serious her actions were, but that was it. No punishment, no apologies, nothing. Meanwhile, I had to deal with the fallout. My parents never apologized for assuming the worst of me, and Emma kept acting like it wasn't a big deal because, in the end, everything got cleared up. I didn't feel like it got resolved at all, at least not for me. What stuck with me the most was how quickly everyone believed her. My parents, my sister, my aunt, and my uncle all assumed I was guilty. Nobody stopped to think about who I am or if the accusation made any sense. And even after the truth came out, it seemed like no one cared about what I'd gone through. My mom and dad didn't say, "I'm sorry." They just said they were trying to find the truth, as if that made it okay to treat me like garbage. My uncle told me to move on as if I was the one making it bigger than it needed to be. But the worst part? Lana didn't even have to apologize. She got away with it as if nothing had happened. It's been 2.5 weeks and I still don't know how to feel. Part of me wants to demand an apology from my parents, from Emma, and especially from Lana. I want at least some acknowledgement of everything that happened. But another part of me wonders if it's even worth it. Would it change anything, or should I just cut my losses and move on? Update 1. It's been a few weeks since I shared what happened, and I want to thank everyone who encouraged me to stand up for myself. After thinking it over, I finally decided that I couldn't just sweep this under the rug. What Lana did to me wasn't just a mistake, and the way my family treated me was unforgivable. So I confronted them. I called a family meeting at my parents' house. My mom, dad, Emma, my aunt, and uncle were there, but Lana conveniently wasn't. Apparently, she didn't feel comfortable confronting me, which annoyed me even more. Still, I thought it was better that way. At least I wouldn't have to deal with her fake tears. I started explaining everything to them. I told them exactly how their immediate reaction to Lana's accusation made me feel, how they didn't ask me what happened or even consider my character, but treated me like I was guilty from the start. My dad looked uncomfortable, my mom started crying, and my uncle tried to interrupt me at one point, saying they did what they thought was right. I wouldn't let him. I told him that what they thought was right almost ruined my life. Then I got to the part about Lana. I said what she did was malicious, not a mistake, and that she should face real consequences for her actions. I told them I didn't care that she was 16. She was old enough to understand that accusing someone of something like that could destroy their future. I also made it clear that I would not move on or forgive anyone unless 3 things happened. First, Lana needed to apologize to me personally, face to face. Second, my parents, Emma, my aunt, and my uncle needed to acknowledge their mistakes and apologize for how they treated me. Third, Lana needed to face real consequences, not just a talking to. My parents were the first to respond, and I won't say I expected anything different. My mom started crying again, saying she was just trying to protect Lana and didn't know what to believe. At that moment, my dad said he understood why I was upset, but they had to take the accusation seriously. I asked them how they would feel if I accused them of touching me as a child. Would it have felt right to just let everything go after I said it was a lie? Emma tried to stay neutral, saying she didn't know what to believe throughout the whole thing, but that she was sorry if it made me feel unsupported. My aunt was defensive to the max, saying Lana was just a child and that I should have compassion because Lana wasn't well emotionally when she lied. Of course, she wasn't well emotionally because she couldn't go to a party. She even said I should be grateful the truth came out quickly and that I wasn't actually in trouble. It was then that I realized she didn't believe Lana did anything wrong. My uncle was the only one who even came close to what sounded like an apology. He said he regretted jumping to conclusions and admitted they should have handled things differently. But when I pressed him about what consequences Lana would face, things changed. He said they had already talked to her and that was enough. I told them all directly that their excuses weren't good enough. I told my parents that if they couldn't admit they were wrong and sincerely apologize, I didn't see how I could keep having a relationship with them. I told Emma that her attitude of staying on the sidelines hurt more than she realized, and that she needed to take responsibility if she wanted to keep being a part of my life. And I told my aunt and uncle that until Lana apologized and faced real consequences, I didn't want to have anything to do with them or their daughter. My mom started crying louder. My dad tried to play the victim assistant, and my aunt accused me of being heartless. My uncle tried to calm things down, saying, "We're not strangers. We should get through this as a family, not as strangers." But I wouldn't accept it. I got up and told them I was fed up. I told them I loved them, but until they could take responsibility for how they treated me and make Lana accountable, I didn't want them in my life. Then I left. It's been 2 weeks since that meeting, and I've cut contact with my entire family. My parents have tried to reach out a few times, mainly with messages trying to guilt me into feeling bad. They want me to find a way to move past all of this before I regret what I might lose. Emma sent me a message saying she's sorry and wants to talk, but I haven't responded yet. My aunt has gone completely silent. The only person I've spoken to is my uncle, who called me a few days ago to see how I was doing. He tried to convince me to forgive Lana, saying she's been upset since the truth came out. I told him I would consider forgiving her when she apologized to me directly and faced real consequences for what she did. Until then, I don't want to hear her name. I don't know if my family will ever truly understand the damage they caused. Maybe they'll change over time, or maybe they won't. If Lana or anyone else in my family decides to own up to their mistakes, someday, maybe we can rebuild those bridges. But until then, I'm tired of being the idiot who has to endure everything. Update 2. Honestly, I didn't expect to be writing another update, but here we are. After weeks of silence, emotional manipulation, and excuses, my family surprised me in a way. They reached out again, but this time things were different. A few days ago, my dad called me. At first, I ignored the call because honestly, I wasn't ready to face another round of excuses or "let's just move past this" speeches, especially while we sang Kumbaya till dawn. But then I received a message from Emma saying, "You should talk to Dad." This time he means it. Curiosity got the better of me, so I picked up when he called again. From the moment he started talking, I could tell his tone was different. He told me that he and Mom had been doing a lot of thinking about what I said during the confrontation. He admitted they failed me by jumping to conclusions and treating me like a criminal without giving me the benefit of the doubt. He said they let themselves be blinded by Lana's tears and let her emotions take control instead of thinking clearly. And then he said the words I had been waiting to hear. "I'm sorry. We were wrong." After my dad apologized, he told me the rest of the family had also changed their minds. Apparently, my uncle pushed for real action against Lana after our confrontation. He realized that just having a talk with her wasn't enough and that she needed to understand the gravity of what she did. Here's what they did. Lana was sent to a boarding school. My uncle and aunt enrolled her in a boarding school with strict behavior policies. Apparently, she's not too happy about it, but they told her she needed structure and discipline after everything that happened. They cut her allowance down to the bare minimum just to cover food and the basics. My uncle said she would have to earn back their trust. An apology was sent to me from my uncle via video. In the video, Lana looked like she had been crying or was trying to fake it. It's hard to tell with her. She said she was sorry for lying about me, admitted she was wrong, and said she regretted the damage she caused. She even recognized how serious her actions were and how much they could have ruined my life. Some might think a video isn't the same as a face-to-face apology, but believe me, I prefer this to being close to Lana. My dad told me they've been trying to hold Lana accountable while working to rebuild trust with me. He said they know they can't undo what they did, but they want to make things right moving forward. Hearing my dad admit he was wrong and seeing my uncle finally take Lana's behavior seriously was a significant change. But at the same time, I can't just pretend everything is okay now. The damage is done, and it took them too long to take the initiative. My parents, Emma, my aunt, and my uncle, all of them believed the worst about me without a second thought. Not only did they fail to defend me, they kicked me while I was down. Sure, Lana apologized. Maybe she genuinely feels sorry, but it's hard to believe anything she says after what she did. For all I know, her tears in that video could be another act to win everyone's sympathy. I told my dad that while I appreciated their efforts, I still wasn't ready to return to the family. For now, I've decided to keep my distance. I'm focusing on myself, on school, work, and the people in my life who have always supported me. Maybe one day I'll be ready to rebuild those bridges, but it will be on my terms, not theirs. I'm grateful they finally took responsibility, but forgiveness isn't something that happens overnight. It's something they'll have to earn. Update 3. For this update, I need to give you some context about my family. You can skip this part and go straight to the update, but I think it will be important for what I have to tell you. My uncle, Lana's dad, is my dad's brother. On the other hand, my aunt is my mom's friend, and she was the one who introduced my uncle to her wife. She was also a friend of my dad, though she's definitely closer to my mom. Both my parents were friends with my aunt in college. That's where they met, and later introduced my uncle to my aunt. From that relationship was born the little demon spawn that is Lana. Now that you know this, I can share that Lana has been telling some people that my dad had an affair with my aunt, taking advantage of their friendship from before, which she has used as an excuse to claim that my dad and my aunt have been involved since the beginning. She said this because she's mad that she was sent to a boarding school. She hoped the apology video would save her from that fate. However, her dad, my uncle, was serious about sending her and did just that. And how did Lana pay them back? By lying, of course. My parents and uncles know it's a lie, but with Lana being able to lie so easily, they can't say the same for the rest of the family. They never found out about the false accusation Lana made against me, so they don't know about her apology and confession. And where do I fit into all this? They want the video of Lana's apology to show to other people so they can see she's a liar. Apparently, they deleted the video after sending it to me as a way to erase what happened, but they think I might still have it. I told them I'd have to look to see if I hadn't deleted it, even though I know for sure I haven't.